The unforgettable disappearance of Marissa Caldwell, Ashland, Kentucky, 1999. On a chilly November evening in 1999, 24-year-old Marissa Caldwell walked alone along a rarely traveled section of the Ohio River Trail near Ashland, Kentucky, and then vanished without a trace. No witnesses, no footprints beyond the trailhead, no sign of what had become of her. Before we begin, I want to let you know that due to the limited visual materials and the age of this case, there isn't much existing footage or imagery to support the story you're about to hear. As a result, this episode will feature a single image background throughout. Think of this as more an immersive audio experience, a storytelling session that lets your imagination fill in the gaps. Now's the perfect time to grab your headphones, maybe even some popcorn, and settle in. Marissa was a woman of quiet resolve and deep curiosity. Born and raised in the small river town of Ashland, she was known for her thoughtful nature and love of the outdoors. At the time of her disappearance, she was working as a research assistant at a local university, pursuing graduate studies in environmental biology, driven by a commitment to understanding the fragile ecosystems along the Ohio River. In the weeks before that evening, those close to her noticed a change. Marissa had become more introspective, occasionally distant. Friends describe her as juggling stress from her demanding studies alongside subtle worries she did not fully share. She had started taking solitary walks along the riverbank, drawn to the quiet solitude that the fading autumn woods provided. On November 12, 1999, Marissa left her apartment around 5:15 p.m., telling her roommate she intended to clear her mind on the trail. The Ohio River Trail, a narrow path flanked by dense hardwood forests and steep embankments, was a place locals often sought for reflection. That day, a low-hanging mist hung over the river, cloaking the landscape in a damp silence. A passing cyclist saw Marissa near the trailhead shortly after 5:45 p.m., dressed in a dark jacket and sturdy boots, carrying a small backpack. She exchanged a polite nod, but otherwise appeared solitary and focused. After that moment, she disappeared into the shadows of the dense forest. Search efforts began immediately after Marissa failed to return. Local authorities, including the Ashland Police Department, coordinated with volunteers and search dogs to comb the area. But despite thorough sweeps, they found no evidence of personal items, no disturbances in the brush, no indication of forced entry or foul play. The only odd detail was a partial set of footprints near a muddy bend in the trail, which abruptly ended near the edge of the riverbank. The prints were too indistinct to determine much, but they suggested someone had ventured off the path briefly. The investigation file, case number APD 99-0823, grew with interviews and reports, yet every lead stalled. Marissa's academic colleagues and friends describe her as earnest and reserved, with no known conflicts or troubling associations. Her work and personal life showed no signs of warning. The community of Ashland, tightly woven and deeply affected by the case, has held on to hope and sorrow ever since. Theories range from accidental drowning to voluntary disappearance or something more troubling, but none could be confirmed. In the decades that followed, the Ohio River Trail has been revisited numerous times by search parties and investigators, employing modern forensic tools and technology. Still, no new evidence has surfaced. Marissa Caldwell's disappearance remains an open file within the Ashland Police Department, a quiet but persistent reminder of the fragility of certainty and the depths of the unknown. November 12, 1999, a timeline and detailed examination of Marissa Caldwell's last known movements and immediate aftermath, based on police reports, witness statements, and family interviews. 5 a.m. morning routine. Marissa Caldwell's day began early, as it usually did. Her roommate, Jessica Harlan, described waking up around 6 a.m. to the sound of Marissa preparing for the day. She was quiet but focused. Jessica recalled in a later interview with investigators. No complaints, no talk of problems, just the usual packing of her books and gear. Marissa was reportedly preparing for a long day of research and coursework related to her graduate studies in environmental biology at Ashland University. She mentioned plans to visit the Ohio River Trail after her work, hoping for some quiet reflection. 12:30 p.m., lunch at campus cafeteria. According to classmates and university surveillance footage, Marissa was seen eating lunch alone in the campus cafeteria. She appeared calm but somewhat distracted, frequently glancing at a small notebook she kept. Her notes suggested she was under academic pressure, but was not visibly upset. 3 p.m., final lecture. Marissa attended a seminar on river ecology. Professors later described her as attentive and engaged, but quieter than usual. When questioned about any conflicts or stressors, Dr. Emily Sanders, her advisor, remarked, "Marissa was dedicated, maybe a bit withdrawn, but nothing alarming." 4:45 p.m., return to apartment. Marissa arrived back at her share apartment in downtown Ashland. Her roommate noted she seemed tired, but otherwise normal. The two exchanged a brief conversation. "Jessica, you heading out later?" Marissa, "Yeah, I want to clear my head on the trail. Just a walk." No mention of specific concerns or plans beyond that. Marissa packed a small backpack with a water bottle, some notebooks, and her phone. 5:15 p.m. departure. Marissa left the apartment alone, dressed in a dark green jacket, worn hiking boots, and carrying her backpack. She locked the door behind her. The last confirmed visual confirmation of her leaving the apartment came from a neighbor who glanced out a window. Her black Honda Civic remained parked outside the building, undisturbed. The keys were left inside the apartment. 5:30 p.m. Arrival at Ohio River Trailhead. A cyclist named Harold Jennings was the last known civilian to see Marissa before her disappearance. Jennings reported encountering Marissa near the trailhead just after 5:45 p.m. He described her as walking purposefully but alone, occasionally looking over her shoulder as if unsettled, though he did not approach her. "I didn't want to intrude, but there was something about her, like she was trying to shake off a bad feeling, or maybe just deep in thought," Jennings told officers during a follow-up interview. See APD report hashtag 99-457-21. Jennings' statement was the only civilian testimony placing Marissa on the trail that evening. 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., trail walk and final moments. Marissa entered the forested trail alone. The Ohio River Trail at this point is a narrow dirt path flanked by thick hardwood trees, steep embankments, and a cold river running alongside. The weather report from that evening indicated temperatures dipping just below 45 degrees Fahrenheit, with a heavy fog rolling in, creating low visibility conditions. No other hikers, joggers, or cyclists reported seeing Marissa after the initial encounter with Jennings. 6:45 p.m. missed phone call. Marissa's roommate attempted to call her cell phone at 6:45 p.m., but received no answer. The phone later showed no missed calls or texts after this point. 7 p.m., concern raised. By 7 p.m., Marissa had not returned home. Jessica called several friends and family members, all of whom were unaware of her whereabouts. Concern grew. 7:30 p.m., report to the Ashland Police Department. Jessica filed a missing person report with the Ashland Police Department, case hashtag APD 99-0823, after repeated unsuccessful attempts to reach Marissa. Detective Mark Tully was assigned to the case. His initial report noted, at 19:30 hours, a missing person report was filed for Marissa Caldwell, 24, last seen approximately 2 hours prior on the Ohio River Trail. Immediate search and rescue operations initiated. 7:45 p.m. to 10 p.m. Search begins. Local police, assisted by Ashland Volunteer Search and Rescue AVSR, began combing the Ohio River Trail and surrounding woods. Police dogs were deployed to pick up Marissa's scent from the trailhead. The dogs traced a faint scent along the path for approximately 0.7 miles before losing the trail near a muddy riverbank clearing. Despite extensive efforts, no belongings, footprints beyond the initial segment, or other evidence of Marissa's passage were found. 10:15 p.m., first red herring, the mysterious camper. During the initial search, officers encountered a man camping approximately 2 miles from the trailhead, a transient known locally as Rusty. Rusty claimed to have heard voices arguing near the river around 6:30 p.m., but admitted he could not see clearly due to fog and darkness. His report was noted but deemed unreliable due to inconsistencies and his known history of substance abuse. Detective Tully remarked later in an internal memo, Witness account lacked corroboration, Detective Tully remarked later in an internal memo. Witness account lacks corroboration and contradicts established timelines. Subject unreliable but not dismissible without further investigation. Rusty was released pending follow-up. November 13, 1999 morning. Search efforts resumed with daylight. Volunteers and family members joined police patrols. K-9 units expanded their range, checking nearby abandoned structures, underbrush, and riverbanks. No trace of Marissa was found. Physical evidence and forensics. Marissa's backpack was never recovered. Her cell phone was missing, presumed lost or discarded. The black Honda Civic remained untouched at her apartment complex, with the keys still inside. No signs of a struggle, forced entry, or foul play were initially evident. No other personal items, such as jewelry or glasses, were found. Family reaction. Marissa's parents, Susan and Robert Caldwell, arrived in Ashland early on November 13th. In a televised statement, Susan said, "We just want our daughter back. She wouldn't just disappear." Marissa is smart, careful, and loving. We're pleading with anyone who knows anything to come forward. Media coverage. Local news stations quickly picked up the story. A popular segment aired on WYT News at 6 p.m. highlighted the community's growing concern and search efforts. The story gained traction due to the mystery surrounding her sudden disappearance. Newspapers ran daily updates, including a feature on the Ohio River Trail and its relative isolation. Rumors began circulating in local coffee shops and bars. Some suggested Marissa may have planned to leave town. Others whispered about a possible stalker. Second red herring, the anonymous tip. 2 days after Marissa vanished, the Ashland PD received an anonymous call. The caller claimed Marissa had been seen hitchhiking near a gas station 30 miles from Ashland, heading south toward Huntington, West Virginia. Police canvassed the area, interviewing gas station attendants and reviewing security footage, but found no evidence to support the tip. Detective Tully's follow-up note: tip deemed unsubstantiated. No corroborating evidence or witnesses. Possible deliberate misinformation. Community theories and rumors. As days turned into weeks, locals offered speculation. Some believed Marissa had suffered an accident and was lost in the woods. Others suggested she had staged her disappearance to escape academic or personal pressures. A small contingent theorized foul play linked to a rumored dispute involving an unnamed university colleague, though police found no evidence to support this. Law enforcement response and case status. The Ashland Police Department assigned additional resources and consulted with state and federal agencies. Case files grew thick with witness statements, search logs, and forensic analysis. Detective Tully summarized, "At this stage, no definitive leads. Absence of physical evidence limits investigative options. Continued community support and vigilance are essential." Emotional toll. Jessica Harlan later reflected on Marissa's last days in a heartfelt interview. She was struggling, but didn't want to burden anyone. "I just wish I had asked more, noticed more." Family and friends struggled with guilt, hope, and despair. The absence of closure left a heavy silence that blanketed the town. Current status as of December 1999. The case remains open and active. Search operations scaled back, but will resume seasonally. No new credible leads have emerged. Marissa Caldwell remains officially missing, presumed alive but in unknown circumstances. The disappearance of Marissa Caldwell on November 12, 1999, stands as a poignant reminder of how quickly life can vanish without a trace in the most familiar places. The absence of tangible evidence, conflicting witness reports, and persistent rumors have compounded the mystery. While law enforcement remains committed, the community is left to grapple with unanswered questions. Nearly a quarter century has passed since Marissa Caldwell disappeared on the fog-laden Ohio River Trail in Ashland, Kentucky. Her case remains unsolved, a haunting void in the hearts of family, friends, and the community at large. Despite exhaustive investigations and evolving theories, no definitive answers have been found. Nearly a quarter century has passed since Marissa Caldwell disappeared on a fog-laden Ohio River Trail in Ashland, Kentucky. Her case remains unsolved, a haunting void in the hearts of family, friends and the community at large. Despite exhaustive investigations and evolving theories, no definitive answers have been found. Theory 1, accidental death and concealment by nature. The most conventional theory posited by investigators and locals alike is that Marissa fell victim to the unforgiving terrain along the Ohio River Trail. The trail runs alongside steep embankments and slippery rocks bordering the river, areas notorious for accidents, especially during poor weather conditions. The night of her disappearance was marked by dense fog and dropping temperatures, which increased the risk of disorientation or accidental falls. The abrupt end of scent trails and footprints near the muddy riverbank suggests she may have veered off the path. Many missing persons cases in rural and wooded areas conclude tragically with victims succumbing to the elements or drowning, their bodies hidden by foliage or swept away by water currents. Challenges to this theory. Despite extensive searches, including divers in the river and ground-penetrating radar scans, no remains or belongings have ever been found. Marissa was an experienced hiker and aware of the terrain's dangers, making a fatal misstep less likely, though not impossible. The lack of physical evidence or signs of distress complicates this narrative. Theory 2, voluntary disappearance. Another possibility is that Marissa deliberately chose to leave her life behind. Friends and family noted that Marissa had become increasingly withdrawn in the weeks leading up, exhibiting signs of internal conflict and pressure. Her journal entries, found after her disappearance, hinted at a desire to escape her circumstances, though they did not specify reasons. The anonymity of the Ohio River Trail and the disappearance of her phone and backpack indicate a planned vanishing act. There was no immediate financial trouble or interpersonal conflict reported. However, this theory suggests that private emotional struggles may be present. Challenges to this theory. Marissa left behind essential possessions, including her phone, ID, and wallet, which was unusual for someone planning to start anew. No confirmed sightings or activity linked to her in the months following the disappearance. The emotional impact on loved ones and lack of contact contradict a voluntary vanishing in some ways. Theory 3, abduction or foul play. Given the unknowns, the possibility of abduction or criminal involvement cannot be discounted. The isolated nature of the trail, combined with fading daylight and fog, could provide a perpetrator with cover. The presence of an unidentified vehicle reported by a passerby near the trailhead on the night in question, later investigated but never traced, adds to suspicions. Rumors about a university colleague with whom Marissa had a strained relationship fueled speculation, though police found no corroboration. The anonymous tip and Rusty's report, although ultimately dead ends, suggested the presence of unknown individuals nearby. Challenges to this theory. No physical evidence, such as DNA, signs of a struggle, or an eyewitness account, directly supports abduction. No ransom demands or communications have been made, which sometimes accompany kidnappings. The police investigation, including interviews and forensic searches, failed to uncover credible suspects. A less conventional consideration, the supernatural angle. While law enforcement and most credible sources dismiss this theory, the case's eerie circumstances have given rise to whispered speculation of supernatural involvement. Context. The Ohio River Trail is steeped in local folklore, with stories of ghostly figures and unexplained phenomena reported over the course of decades. Marissa's disappearance on a foggy night with no trace has fueled some community members to speculate about paranormal forces or otherworldly intervention. Rationale, absence of physical evidence, and the mysterious nature of the disappearance make this theory alluring to some. Such explanations, while unsupported by evidence, reflect the human desire to find meaning in the incomprehensible. The investigation, strengths and limitations. The Ashland Police Department approached the case with diligence, but several factors complicated the investigation. Terrain and weather. Difficult conditions limited search effectiveness during the crucial early hours. Limited witnesses. Only one reliable sighting placed Marissa on the trail. Other reports were inconsistent or unverified. Forensic challenges. Lack of physical evidence stalled the case. The missing backpack and phone meant investigators lacked key clues. Resource constraints. Ashland is a small town with limited investigative resources, relying heavily on volunteers and neighboring agencies. The family's enduring quest for answers. Susan and Robert Caldwell have never ceased advocating for their daughter's case. Over the years, they have commissioned private searches and hired investigators, worked with local media to keep Marissa's story in the public eye, established a small foundation to aid in searches for missing persons in Kentucky. Their emotional resilience remains a testament to the profound personal toll such cases inflict. Community impact and legacy. Marissa's disappearance changed Ashland. The case fostered heightened awareness of safety on local trails, formation of more organized volunteer search and rescue teams, a communal sense of unresolved grief and vigilance. Her story remains a somber reminder of how quickly the familiar can become unknown. Summary of red herrings and dead ends. Rusty, the camper's account. While initially intriguing, it proved unreliable and uncorroborated. Anonymous hitchhiking tip. No evidence supported this lead. Unidentified vehicle near the trail. Never located or connected. Rumors of university colleague involvement. Investigated and dismissed due to lack of evidence. An unsolved puzzle. As time passes, the case of Marissa Caldwell remains an open wound, a mystery shaped by silence and speculation. No theory can yet claim definitive proof, and each possibility carries both plausibility and uncertainty. Was Marissa a victim of nature's indifferent cruelty? Did she walk away from her past, seeking a new life in secret? Or was she taken by a malevolent force lurking in the shadows? What do you think happened to Marissa Caldwell? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more content relating to horrors and missing cases.